Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm Hob.
I'm Jamie.
And this is Dutch and Dragons, where we sit around in the car while waiting to get Dutch Brothers coffee and talk about random questions from the Pink Box about Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing in general.
Yep.
As always, we are both game masters and players in Dungeons and Dragons games, as well as other role-playing games. So, shall we start?
Yeah, we can get started.
All right. First question.
Our first question of the day is, what is your favorite RPG monster?
Favorite RPG monster. Gonna have to think about that for a minute. That one?
I'm pretty classic. I really like beholders.
Fair enough. I do like a beholder.
Beholder is my favorite.
I have to say the Death Knight, like the old school Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition, murder hobo-y, kill you to death, Death Knight.
We're gonna order coffee.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, just get my tan on.
Cool beans.
Right on.
Cool beans.
Well,
What did we get today?
I'd like a small iced extra shot coconut milk caramelizer. Yep. And a small iced extra shot coconut milk German chocolate milk.
Coconut milk, German chocolate milk.
Yes.
Sensation. And then are we doing cash card or soul?
Card.
Card?
Yeah.
I don't know, some days I think my soul would be home.
Some days.
But only if I get free coffee for life.
That's right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Nice.
Unlimited free coffee.
Unlimited free coffee for life. That's,
Dangerous almost. The good thing is you get probably everything done.
Yeah, it's true.
I love, is that turquoise on your name?
Yeah.
I love that. I'm really trying to I found this turquoise one, but I don't think this is real turquoise. My buddy just had a bunch of because he was selling.
yeah.
I want a really good, genuine turquoise.
Gotta go out to the res, man.
Honestly, one of our homies that works here, she has some family on the res, and I told her. Otherwise, I feel like Sedona and Tucson are great places.
Yeah.
I can tell you what though, I'm looking in the right place. I'm looking for turquoise.
There you go, man. There you go.
That's true.
What's up?
All right, man. Have a good
So
one.
are we behind the Toyota or I don't know.
I think we're behind the Sienna, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Had to make sure. So back to our favorite monsters.
Back to our favorite monsters. I love the Death Knight in the flavoring of Dungeons and Dragons, and I know that it kind of sources from the Dragonlance series, but I think the idea of the Death Knight, not even so much as an anti-paladin, but as a lich-like creature that is not a wizard. I think that's awesome.
I do like witches.
A lich is pretty awesome.
Alright. Oh, here we go. This is one I feel like should have been on our first episode. What is role-playing? Really? That's
in there.
That's in there. Okay.
So I explained it. I explained it to some coworkers of mine in this way. Role-playing is like being an actor in a stage play that is all improvised with a omniscient voice narrator that the actors can hear.
It's make-believe for adults.
But I think that's just about the best way that I can that you can explain that. Is that role-playing is like being an actor in a play that is entirely made up on the fly.
I don't understand. How can I, as a player, fail a roll initially but covert?
That's not initially. Read the word again.
Intentionally but covertly. Why would you want to fail a roll intentionally but covertly?
Well, say for example...
So that makes way more sense than initially.
So, say for example, you are playing a character and you are the only one who can pick a particular lock. We'll use this as an example. On the other side of the door, the party knows awaits almost certain death.
Dun 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 dun!
certain death.
Okay.
You, as a character, maybe are a little bit of a coward, and you want to fail to pick the lock.
Oh, you don't want to pick the... Okay, because you
Right?
don't want to pick
You
the lock.
don't want to pick the lock, so you want to intentionally fail a roll, but you want to do it without...
Guys, I couldn't do it.
You want to do it
Bummer.
without the rest of the party knowing that you failed the roll.
Right.
And so that's a tough question because for the most part, rolls are in the open.
Yeah.
So how would you do that? How would you fail a roll intentionally but covertly, without letting the rest of the party know that you intended to fail?
Well, if my DM knew that I was a bit of a coward, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it goes into that whole, the question kind of goes then, is it metagaming to roll it? Obviously, everyone can see that you got like a passing roll. Say I roll a nat 20 on it. And then I go, oh, shoot, you guys. I couldn't get it unlocked. What a bummer. And the DM realizes what I'm doing, or, out of character, I say, no, my character wouldn't admit to being able to do this. They're a coward. I think that is on the chance of all the other players to go, oh, yeah, bummer, because the players know you rolled a 20, but the characters don't know anything. They don't know except what they're told. So I don't know if I would do it covertly. I think I would just, it's part of your character. Like, my character wouldn't do this. My character would be like, oh, yep, I'm trying. Ah, nope, didn't, oh, bummer.
There is merit to simply saying, I failed the roll without ever picking up a die.
That is true. That's another one you can
and
do.
that is, and a lot of people might be like, well, that's not very covert. And no, it's not. Unfortunately, I don't really think if you're playing in an open table game where all of the rolls are above board, I don't think that there is really a way to intentionally fail a roll covertly. But you are, as a player, always welcome to intentionally fail a roll.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that says, oh, you have to take a pass.
Yeah.
Like, you have to take your fail. Like, if you try something and fail, you fail.
Right.
But there's nothing that says that you have to do... The group wants you to sneak into this tower. You're secretly aligned with the people. Nothing says you have to be stealthy.
Right.
You walk in the front door, hey guys, how are ya? But like I said, it sort of makes it... kind of goes into that realm of metagaming. Like, you have to make sure that the rest of the party is aware of what's going on, but they don't cross that into their characters.
Yep, I agree.
Alright, next question.
Next question.
What is railroading and why is it bad?
All right. So we sort of touched on this in our last episode. And railroading is when there is no alternative to the Dungeon Master's plot. Which is just or plan or whatever it is. The Dungeon Master has a story to tell, and you are going to participate in it,
whether you like it or not. Like,
the
goal's to get the gold apple, and no matter what you do, you're getting that gold apple.
I can liken this to a very specific series of games, the Final Fantasy games. After Final Fantasy. Really, after Final Fantasy VII, they became extremely railroady. Basically, you had a linear path to follow and no other choices. You were going to go down this path, and you were going to fight the things along that path, and there might be a few things to encounter along the way that were sort of outside of the path, but you always had to go back to that central path to progress forward in the story.
Yeah.
And that is a railroad game. Why is it bad? Because it takes away player agency. And it takes away what I consider to be a core concept of the role-playing game, which is that as a game, Dungeons and Dragons is intended to be a collaborative storytelling experience. Everybody at the table has something to add to the story. They are not just characters in a book. And railroading is much more about writing a book and telling your story as a game master than it is about letting the players and the characters explore the story as it unfolds.
Right.
So that's why I think it's kind of bad. Now, that being said,
sometimes you have to get a little railroady, especially if your players just go off the rails. Like, completely off into La La Land.
If your players, much like ours do, suffer from squirrel,
yeah, they suffer from squirrel sometimes.
Then sometimes you may have to put them on the rails to get them back onto a path that leads through the story, but it should never be a long-term thing.
Yeah, like, I feel like every once in a while I just have to take them and be like, no, shoot, back over, okay, go, and then they wander about, and sometimes you just shoot them back over.
Yep.
But I never try to do it so hard that it's not fun for them.
Well, and I sort of feel like your world should have no edges, right?
Yeah.
So if you're exploring the map should go somewhere. Now, it may be that your world does have an edge because it's flat and a disc world and all the oceans run off the edge. But when I say when I say that your world should have no edges, I'm speaking more in terms of like video role-playing games. In that most of the time the world is constrained to a specific area, and if you try to go outside of that area, there's a very distinct border which you cannot cross. A barrier, an invisible barrier, a wall that cannot be breached. And your world shouldn't have, your worlds, in my opinion, should not have that. So.
Let's go. Oh, look at the cute. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. You can't see the cute puppy.
Another squirrel sufferer, except in her case, it's puppies.
It's puppies. All right, so how do you handle the, and I put this in quotes, unmotivated character? What is...
so that's the
characters.
The unmotivated character.
I want to
the true neutral.
Well, first of all, are we talking about the character themselves or the player? Is the player not motivated? Are they just here to kind of watch the play happen and have a superfluous character that sort of throws stuff out?
I'm not talking about the unmotivated player,
okay,
or the audience member player. I'm talking about a character whose response to everything is, well, I have no reason to go that direction. They have no purpose, no function,
no reason to be in the party.
Yeah, no, the unmotivated character. So, how do you handle the unmotivated character?
Well, usually I start with taking the player aside and saying, why is this character here? Why are they here? Why are they adventuring? Why are they even bothering with this? And if their answer is, well, I was told to by someone, but my character doesn't want to make decisions, or something like that, I kind of go, well, then the person that they tell me told them to go on the mission and they're just doing what they're told, start sending them a lot more messages. No, they do. I had a character, we sort of had a character like that.
We did.
And we started saying, okay, well, your patron has now sent you your patron has now sent you a new message. They want you to get this or get that or help with this or so I mean, first of all, if that's the answer, you kind of have to find out the motivation of the player for making that kind of character.
I feel like a lot of times the unmotivated character is regularly coupled with the unmotivated player or the audience member.
Or a player who just doesn't really know. Like, they're like,
and then
I made this cool character, but
I don't really know what they're all about. And then that's a time when you should help them explore that character more thoroughly. Because maybe they don't really understand that character. There are a whole bunch of tools that you can use for that. I think more often than not, unmotivated characters are simply that. They're characters that the player made and thought, this is really cool. And then when they got to playing it, they didn't know what that character's motivation was, what they actually were in the world.
I tell people, liken it to yourself. Why are you in the job that you're in? If you love your job, why did you pick it? If you hate your job, why are you there?
Yeah.
So let's just say your character absolutely hates adventure. They sort of fell into it by mistake. It was a good way to make money. They've got a sick kid at home. They're sending money back to you. They hate it. They hate every moment of it. That's legitimately a way to play a character if you want. Oh, here you go. Last coffee.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hi.
Good.
Alright, this is gonna be your small eyes extract milk normalizer.
Nice.
And then this is the small eyes extract milk.
Cool. Can I get a new stamp card? Thank you.
Doodly neighbors.
Later, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
But I feel like you can completely, I think you're fine on the side and on the blind side. But you can treat it like that. You can just say, well, my character is kind of lackadaisical about it because I'm lackadaisical about my job because he hates his job like I hate my job. Okay, cool. So then as a DM, I can start doing things like, what would he really like to do? He wanted to be a gladiator, but his parents never paid for lessons. I don't know. But you can start moving that character towards their new... And this is something I would talk to them about. Okay, well, if you have someone who doesn't want to be an adventurer, what do they want to be? And put some things in front of them that they could do that. And maybe that character eventually becomes an NPC that is an awesome resource for the group, but the player rolls a new character.
I also believe that there is another type of unmotivated character. It's the really cool idea that didn't land right.
Oh yeah, I've had a few of those.
So you make a character and you've got this really, really cool concept in your head and it sounds super duper awesome and you get it onto paper and it looks super duper awesome and then it plays like poop.
Playing it. It's not super awesome.
It just plays like not super duper awesome. And so it becomes a difficult character to play because you're not enjoying playing the character.
Yeah.
And that is an entirely different conversation. If you're not enjoying playing a character that you have created, talk to your game master about it.
Yeah.
Straight out of the gate. As soon as you think that you aren't having fun, you aren't. And talk to your game master about it.
They're there to help. Well, hopefully they're there to help facilitate the fun.
True
so
story.
Talk to them about it.
All right.
Last question.
One more question.
Is it okay to ask a player to justify their character's actions?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's the really short answer to that is yes, it is absolutely okay as a game master or as another player, especially in character, to ask another player to justify their character's actions. Absolutely, 100%, no holds barred. If it's in character, it's always allowed. But as a game master, I also believe that it is. If you don't understand the person's character,
it can lead to
motivation, you can end up in situations where you have to question what the player is doing. Why? Tell a story.
We had this bit. We were doing this campaign. It was really great, and everybody was playing kids. We were like level less than 0. We were children, and growing up together, and then we were going to go on to campaign. And we had a player who wanted to have play the character that had the traumatic event happen to them when they were little, and this was something that was going to inform the character later on. Well, that didn't get quite communicated correctly to the DM, which Todd was DMing at the time, and we went into this part of the story. And it was just the weirdest, like everyone at the table was a little uncomfortable by how this all went down. And we were all like, what is going on? Because the player thought that this was the traumatic event that was going to happen in the childhood to inform the character later on. And he thought this was just some regular old event. So the player's reaction to the event made us all go,
player's reaction was way up here, my expectations
way down there. And we were like
for real.
what? We were thinking we were traumatizing the player, not the character. At one point, we were all like, what?
I stopped the game and took the player outside and had a conversation with them about what was going on. Because it reached a point where I could not move the game forward because they were not
cooperating.
Well, they were not engaged in the same game that I was. And so we were not actually communicating in the same places. So I, as the game master, had to take that back, stop the game, realign where we were, and move forward.
And go forward.
Which actually it worked out really, really well in the end. It just, I hate when they do that. It just, initially, it was like a jarring, shocking moment where I realized I was playing a different game than my player was.
Yeah, but that was because there was a miscommunication about the motivation. Yeah. So yes, absolutely, ask about the motivation, because motivation is a big part of Dungeons and Dragons.
Absolutely.
Why the players do what they do, it's a big part of any story.
Absolutely, I agree. So that's all the time that we have today.
Yep.
We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please click the button below to subscribe.
Yep. And a bell, the little bell thing. Ring the bell.
Click the little bell so that you get notifications about it. Yes, we always need more cowbell. If you would like to ask us questions, if you'd like us to answer your questions on our show, please leave them in the comments below. We will always respond and get back to you. Either in the comments or in an upcoming video, your questions will get added to the box.
The pink box.
The pink box. But thank you for joining us, and have a great day, everyone.
Bye.